kid that came up to
Welcome
me.
to
Said
the
I
Way
was
Out
the music
Recovery
business.
Hour. I'm Bob Sharits, and a happy Monday to everyone. We are the Way Out. We are an intensive outpatient program located on the corner of Plum and Bouquet Canyons, and our phone number is 296-4444. Please visit our outstanding website at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. And again, welcome to the show and a happy Monday. I like to take an opportunity every Monday to remind everyone that you have a choice in the way that you look at this week that's coming in front of you. You know, a lot of us will dread Mondays. You know, Mondays are heavy for people. We're looking at this big week in front of us with all this stuff to do. And I want to offer you a new perspective. What a wonderful opportunity we have to look at this big, beautiful week sitting in front of us with all the opportunities to help people that are coming our way, to have beautiful interactions and to get some really cool stuff done. So if you're sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, I have this big thing in front of me, take a moment, take a couple of breaths and be grateful for what you have, and settle in and listen to the show. You know, the Way Out Recovery Hour is focused on, it's all about recovery, drug and alcohol, and other behaviors. Over at the Way Out, we serve a population of adolescents and adults. And today's show is really going to be looking at teens and family members and interventions that can take place. I have in studio with me today a wonderful guest who's a friend of mine. I had the opportunity to work with him in the past, Dennis Poncher from an organization called Because I Love You. Welcome to the show, Dennis.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
So before we get into and if you're listening and you hear us say Billy stands for Because I Love You. So we're not talking about a person, although when Dennis gets into his story, it's kind of ironic that he ended up calling it Billy, right? But Billy stands for Because I Love You, and they are a support group, a parent and teen support group that is in the San Fernando Valley. They were founded in the San Fernando Valley and are currently having meetings that are free, open to the public at Birmingham Charter High School in Van Nuys every Tuesday from 7 to 9:30 p.m. And their phone number is 818-884-8242. They are at becauseIloveyou.org. So check out their organization. But what they do is they help parents and teens resolve numerous issues. You know, I want to say a couple of words about the teenage years. Anytime that I know about a program like Because I Love You that takes the time to look at what's going on in the teen's life as well as the parent's life. You know, a lot of programs are set up where a kid gets in trouble, they go to the program, and it's really all about just trying to get the kid to change his behavior without looking at what's going on in the teenager's life. You know, the teen years are oftentimes, and I think mostly, the most difficult years of our lives. Let me ask you something, Dennis. Would you go back to being 13 or 14 years old?
Not today. Not today. No.
Right? It's like, and I ask parents that, I'm like, let's take a moment to put ourselves back at 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. What a time in our lives. You know, there are so many changes going on. We have big time stressors, you know, difficulty in schools, relationships, maybe on sports teams and what it means to compete in that. We have hormones changing and all kinds of different stuff going on physiologically. And even worse today with social media, we have all the different social aspects of being a teenager. There's a lot going on in a teen's life. And in the middle of all that stress, oftentimes teenagers will act out. And that's when they end up coming to you, right?
Right.
And some of the ways that they act out, but I'm going to ask you specifically in terms of what you're seeing over at Billy. Sometimes acting out can look like violent behavior, skipping school, eating disorders, anxiety, depression, other mental health issues, drug use, sex, self harm, stealing, theft, bullying, maybe even suicidality, gang affiliation, and gender identity, just to mention some of the issues that come through the door, right? So,
Yeah, I think you've covered probably pretty much what we deal with
and you see that on a day-to-day
on
basis,
a
huh?
day-to-day basis, and it's not just teenagers. We have had parents who have come to us who are dealing with issues of kids 9 and 10 years old.
Wow.
But our youth group is from 12 to 21.
Wow. Say that again. How old?
12 to 21.
But they're coming to you at 9 and 10 year
Nine and
olds.
10-year-old. I had a parent a few weeks ago who had a 10-year-old that was hooked on marijuana already at 10
Right.
years old.
At 10. And listeners, you might think that that is really, really shocking. And even though I went like, wow, a minute ago, it's not uncommon. It's not that uncommon for a 10, 11, 12-year-old to be using marijuana. And when they come to you using marijuana at like 12 years old or 13 years old, have they been using for a while before their parents know it?
Yes.
A lot of times,
Yes.
right?
As a matter of fact, the parents have come to us and had no idea that their youth was using, but we suggest that they drug test them, and we have drug tests available at our program. And probably 75% of the parents who come to us are finding out their kids are using drugs.
Right. And for listeners, that's one of the most comprehensive tools that we have. As a parent, don't be afraid to drug test your kids. There are some schools out here in the Heart District. We have what's called the Cadre program, which is a alcohol and drug testing program that's voluntary. The kids and the parents have to sign up for it. But it's a wonderful tool that can be utilized to find out what's really going on or to keep kids from doing it in the first place.
And parents need to know that they could have a straight A student or a student that is on the football team or baseball team or soccer. That doesn't mean that their kids are not using, and they need to get involved and they need to test their children. They must test their children.
Yeah, earlier, statistically speaking, but you and I both know from experience, is that the earlier that a parent or a school or law enforcement or anybody can intervene in a kid's life, and the more that they can stick in there, the better chance that kid has of doing well in his life,
Well,
stopping that
what the
behavior.
parent needs to realize that they're part of the problem, and in probably most cases, the parents that come to us, they are part of the problem. And what we do is we help to make them part of the solution.
Well, I love that straight talk, too. I bet you, what kind of reactions do you get when you tell parents, hey, by the way, you're part of the problem?
99% of the time, they shake their head yes.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
they're
do willing
know
to admit it.
They
Okay.
know they're willing to admit it, and that's why they come to us. They're ready to make a change.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, too many people are not coming to us or to groups similar to us, and especially parents who have children in high school, because that's the last chance before they become an adult, and then they lose the power of telling their child, you have to do this, because the child says, I'm an adult, I don't have to do that. So it's really important that parents get involved in their children's lives, especially while they're in school.
Well, and it's interesting. I mean, I don't know. For teenagers, I think it's really difficult to get any accurate statistics, but I know this. I know for the adult population of those in the United States that qualify for having a substance use disorder, only roughly 10% of those persons ever receive any kind of treatment. So can you imagine? And most people wait until it's a crisis or they're an adult before they get help. So can you imagine, like you said, many, many more parents should be coming to groups like ours.
And we are facing an epidemic, which we keep hearing about it on the radio, on TV, and social media, that we're facing a heroin epidemic. But all the more reason why people should be involved in finding out more about it. But I'm telling you, the parents that come to us are so lost as far as believing any of this stuff. They didn't know anything about it, and the media has a tendency of just promoting the seriousness of it and the horrible stories, but not so much on promoting what you should do about it, you
Right.
know, and how to solve. And we're not interested in how the kids get it. We're interested in why they need it. That's more important to us. Why are they using? What is the cause of that's made them want to use? That is really the direction that Billy goes into.
Well, and even more, even even more of a reason that you guys are kind of a program that stands out as opposed to a lot of other programs is because you asked that question right there. You know, sure, we're concerned about the drug use, but let's find out what's behind that. And you sit down and you work with the kids. So I show up. I show up with my 14-year-old on a Tuesday night, and I've never been there as a parent. Tell me what I'm in for.
Well, first I do the orientation for the parents. The youth is sent over to the youth group. They meet separately. We have youth, they're actually young adult who run our youth group. They are trainees at the Stevens counseling center. So they're working to become a counselor or to become a therapist. They have to do a year's training at a support group. So they use us and we give them credit for it. So the kids get some professional help without having to pay for it. But we do have them fill out a form every week talking about what's the issues in the house, what they think their parents need to work on, and what they feel they need to work on. That goes to the parent group. The parents also fill one out that goes to the youth group with the same questions or similar questions. So the communications are open between the parents and the youth every week, and something that they can talk about on their way home or during the week.
So when you send my teen over to that teen group and you do your orientation with me, what does that consist of?
Well, after the orientation, they fill out a form when they come to the meeting. They fill out a form telling us what the ages of their kids and what the issues are. And then we have 5 or 6 small groups right now, one in Spanish, the rest in English. And depending upon the age of the youth and the issues that they're dealing with, we will send them over to a particular group. Like we have Jody over there who does heavy duty drugs. She has a son that's a heroin addict recovering, and so she's really, really good on it. She's also earned some credits at school, so she's becoming a therapist there. And so she takes the heavy duty ones. We have another group that deals with adult kids in their, believe it or not, 30s, 40s, and 50s. We have parents who deal with kids that age. We have a group that deals with preteens. And so, it just depends on what the issue is that they're having. They'll be assigned to a group. They'll go into their small group, and they'll be in that group till 9 o'clock. And then at 9 o'clock, all the groups come back into the library, and we have a special meeting in there. Sometimes we'll have a guest speaker. We talk about success stories, and then the kids are brought back to the group at 9:30, and then they go home.
So in separate groups, they're filling out a sheet of paper that says something like, "Here's the struggles we had this week. Here's the cool things that happened this week, and like here's what I want to say to my kid." And then on the other end, which I think is genius, is the kids are also filling out something that says, here's what I think my parents need to work on, right?
Too much yelling. Their consequences are, they took my phone away they told me they took my phone away for a year. I think that's too long. And I mean, some things that the parents are doing that we will kind of readjust.
Right.
The parent gets a homework sheet the first night that they have to fill out, not that night. They have to fill it out when they get
Before
home and
the
bring it
next
back
week,
the following
right?
week. And that's to help us create rules, because Billy parents all have rules posted in their house. They have rules in school. They have rules at a job. They need to start at home. The rules have to start at home, and then we help them with the consequences.
So you'll help a parent come up with what fair rules are for a teenager, depending on what kind of issues are going on.
Well, I mean, when I first started, the first rule that I had for I had 2 children, 13 and 15. The first rule that I had for my 13-year-old was to take out the trash every Thursday by a certain time and bring it back in Friday after the trash is picked up. You would have thought that I was asking my son to collect it from the entire San Fernando Valley and not just from my yard, So it was and then Thursday was 12 hours long, or 24 hours long, I mean, and every hour he'd have a different excuse.
Right.
I mean, the excuse that always cracked me up the most was as soon as I finished my homework. He never did homework.
You're right.
It was never
There's
did
another
homework.
rule.
Yeah.
Right. There's another rule we put on there. So what sort of issues are you seeing that are commonplace right now?
I think drugs is probably the most common issue that people come with us. If not at the beginning, they find out that that's involved. And I think it floats back to the problems they're having in school, the problems they're having at home, the stealing that's going on, things that they're noticing that they didn't realize was drug related. A lot of school problems. Kids are failing classes, not wanting to go to school. I would say that there's a lot of bullying going on with some of the kids.
On both being
ends.
a bully and
being a bully
being bullied.
and
Yeah.
being bullied. Yeah, we were getting a lot of sexual identification. We're getting some kids that want to be, the opposite sex, and so we're dealing with those. I mean, we have everything going on. We deal with a lot of gay parents that come to us with their kids, or parents who come to us that have gay kids. So I mean, we deal with everything. It's open to everybody, and our Spanish group is great. We have terrific Spanish leaders that are there every week.
Well, it's another benefit to going down there to your group is that they do offer Spanish-speaking groups specific. That's necessary.
Plus, we give each parent once they get assigned to a small group, they get a hotline list with the my number on it, the group leader's number on it, the coordinator for the youth group on it, and then parents within the group will be on that list. So we're not just a once a week; we're 24/7. I mean, we get calls day and night with parents who are having issues, and we deal with them until they get to the meeting the following week.
And okay, so now I've signed up for your group, and I'm coming, and my little 14-year-old son after the first week says, "Dad, this is stupid. I'm not coming here anymore." As a parent, what am I doing with that?
Well, if your child is saying to you, "Dad, this is stupid, and I'm not coming anymore," that kind of tells me that he's in control, not you. So we obviously have to work with you to get you back in control. So we don't want to force him to come again. I will tell you that 90% of the kids that come the first time want to come back.
Right.
They like the group because they're talking about issues that they're having at home or in school or whatever, and they're getting peer support and peer pressure and relaxed because they're not getting anybody standing over there with a hatchet and hitting them over the head. So, but for that 10% that leave, we say, you don't need to force them to come to group because they're not going to be cooperating anyways. We need to get you to a point where you are in control again and you say you're going. And that should be the word. I mean, you can't say that to an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old, but you can certainly say it to a 12 to 16 or 17-year-old. And usually they get them to come back. But our program works whether the parent brings their youth or not. So if you say, well, I'm not going to go because my kid doesn't want to go. No, you need to go, because when you say your kid doesn't want to go, that means you're telling me your kid's in control. And that means that's a problem, because there's no way where a kid should be in control of an adult parent.
Yeah, absolutely. And, what I found over the years of working with parents and teens is that if you do the work with the parent, then the kid either straightens out or faces the consequences of their actions, and it becomes, rather than me chasing them around trying to catch them doing something, it becomes a choice for the kid. Hey, if you want to continue acting the way you're acting, here's the price that you're going to pay. And we empower the parents as much as we possibly can.
And we need to open up the communication between parents and youth. It's closed doors. Yeah. The parents think, well, these are just kids. They're just going through the teen problems and like that. And that went away a long time ago, and that's got to stop. You need to be involved. You need to know where they're going. You know who they're going with. You need to have phone numbers. I mean, there's so many things that parents aren't doing today that they need to do, which brings a family closer. And we've seen so many successes because of what goes on and because I love you. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you. We've had close to 800,000 parents and kids go through our groups. We're in 12 states and in Canada, and we're highly referred by everybody. So it's just a great program. It's just something that parents should go to, and it's free. Why parents wouldn't take that investment, I don't know.
Well, that's amazing to me, that 800,000 over the years. How long have you guys been in existence?
Over 36 years.
Yeah, that's a huge number of people that can get the help that they need, and they're free.
Right.
And a great majority of them do get some sort of improvement.
Absolutely. I mean, it saved my life, and it certainly saved my kid's life.
Well, when we come back after this break, what I want to do is hear that story, because all the wonderful stuff that you're telling us now and that you're teaching to the parents and the kids that walk through the door, it sounds like you had to learn that kind of the hard way yourself, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So we'll hear that story when we come back. And again, if you are interested in becoming part of Because I Love You, show up at Birmingham Charter High School in Van Nuys on a Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, and they will be in the library, and they will be ready for you. Or you can always call the hotline at 818-884-8242. There's also a Facebook page, Because I Love You, and as well you can go to becauseIloveyou.org, which is the website, and we will be right back in a couple of minutes to talk more with Dennis Poncher.
Don't stop thinking about tomorrow.
Join Fred Arnold of American Family Funding and his guests for the SCV Chamber in Business Spotlight. Discover more about Santa Clarita as Fred interviews new chamber members and local businesses. Get to know chamber members and businesses close to home where it matters most. The SCV Chamber in Business Spotlight on the last Tuesday of the month from 10 a.m. to noon. Join Fred Arnold on your hometown station, KHTS.
Your building sign is essential in getting customers to your location. Feathers can help get your business noticed. They walk you through each phase of your building sign project, providing special attention to detail and quality. Feathers will give you a sign you can be proud of. Your building sign will draw customers in instead of having them drive by. Feathers on Soledad in Canyon Country, across from the Edwards Theater. Or go to feathersphoto.com. That's feathersphoto.com.
KHTS.
Now FM, 98.1 FM, and AM 1220, your hometown station.
We fall so hard, now we gotta get back what we lost.
Welcome back to the Way Out Recovery Hour. I'm Bob Sharits, and we are the Way Out. We are an intensive outpatient program located here in the Santa Clarita Valley on the corner of Plum and Bouquet. Our phone number is 296-4444, and our website is thewayoutrocoveryscv.com. And remember that asking for help is the first step. If you or a loved one is having difficulties with drug and alcohol issues, please give us a call. If we can't help you directly, we have made a commitment and a promise to Santa Clarita that anybody that contacts us, we will find you a place to help you, whether it's with us or somebody else. So we don't ever turn anybody down who contacts us. So again, 661-296-4444. thewayoutrocoveryscv.com. And I am in studio today with Dennis Poncher, who is the founder of Because I Love You, also known as Billy. And they are a parent and teen support group that meets in the San Fernando Valley and was founded in the San Fernando Valley and is currently in how many states?
I think it's 11 or 12 states, and also in Canada.
In Canada and 11 or 12 of our United States. They have served 800,000 plus people have come through their door over the last 30 plus years. And so Dennis has tons and tons of experience with working with teens and their parents. You didn't go to school to learn how to do this, right? You went to the School of Hard Knocks to learn how to do this.
Right.
Tell us, take your time and tell us the story of what happened.
Well, I was married to my childhood sweetheart, had 17 years with her. Unfortunately, she passed away 2 days after her 42nd birthday from childhood diabetes. It was quite a shock, and I had a 13-year-old son and a 15-year-old daughter who, to my knowledge, were perfect kids. But on the way to my wife's funeral in the limousine, my 15 and a half-year-old daughter said, "Daddy, I'm pregnant." This was not an opportune time to find out that your child is pregnant.
Yeah, the whole family's in the middle
especially
of
when we're in this whole family crisis. And 2 weeks later, I got a call from my son's school saying that I better head on over there so I can meet the police because he's being arrested for selling marijuana on campus, and they're drug testing him because they think he's high. I had no idea he was using, and he had been using since he's 12, and he was 13 and a half. I had no idea, and I don't know whether my wife had any idea. It was never discussed. I found out later that a lot of the problems that my wife was having, she was calling, going to see the schools, going to the different teacher conferences, and not telling me because she knew that she was going to die, and she wanted to make the household comfortable and not go through crisis. So she took care of all the crisis during the day. So this was such a shock for me to have two completely out of control kids. I had three choices. One was to go to my family, and that was to learn that everything was my fault, because that's what they repeated to me. The second one was to go to my friends, who all had perfect children, or at least they thought they did. And the third one was to go for therapy. I wasn't willing to try any of them, but I did. I tried them all, and none of them worked. And then I heard about a group called Tough Love. Tough Love was all over. They had thousands of locations all over the world. I went to it, and I was blown away because it was a place where parents could go and talk about the problems that they were having with their kids. And that was just what I needed to do, but I also needed some help. I wasn't happy with the help I was getting, and I was coming up with my own ideas, and some of the parents thought, gee, that's great. I like your ideas better. And then in no time at all, after 2 months, I started Because I Love You, and that was a little over 36 years ago. Never thinking I would be doing it 36 years later.
Right. Let's just help a few people today, right?
And my son said to me, why don't you have something for the kids to go to so I can tell your parents how lousy a parent you are? And I said, okay, I'm going to try. And I got a youth group started. He and my daughter came. And my son was doing pretty well in it. My daughter wasn't. She was running around with the guy who she was having an affair with, and he was a couple years older than her, and that's the one that she was pregnant with. And I told her that he was not allowed in my house. He was never, ever, his name was never, ever to be mentioned in my house. His name was Billy, but the thing is, even though my group is called Billy, mine is with
You
two.
didn't do it on purpose.
No, I did not do it on purpose, and I did not know. One day after I had started the group, maybe 6 months later, a lady was sitting in a meeting, and she was saying, "Oh, I love my Billy meetings." And I went over to her and I said, "Why do you call this Billy?" She says, "Because that's your initials. Because I love you, B-I-L-Y." I said, "Oh my God, well, it was too late to change it." So, when somebody says Billy, I say, "Yeah, with one L," because I don't want it to ever be thought with two L's.
Yeah.
But the sad part about it and the scary part about it is my daughter ran away with him. And she was gone for 8 years. I didn't know where she was. I didn't know if she was. And that was frightening. And if it wasn't for me going to meetings every week, I would have been off the chart. I mean, what started the seriousness was one day I got a call from my daughter's school saying she was expelled. And on the same day, I got a call from my son's school that he was being expelled. So I had to go to one school, pick her up, another school, pick him up. I had it. It was before I got into Tough Love. I took my wife's Valium, had it on my desk. I had them sitting outside. I wrote a letter of goodbye to them. And right before I took the pills, very shortly before I took the pills, a friend of mine heard that there was a problem, and he called and couldn't get a hold of me, and I wasn't answering the phone. He came over, walked in the room, and he saw me, and he stopped me. He grabbed the pills and threw them out in the toilet or whatever, and told me go to Tough Love. He's the one that got me into going to Tough Love, and thank God he saved my life. And from that point on, I have seen miracles in this program because I saw parents in denial, like I was in denial, or not knowing. I didn't know about drugs. And at that time, we're talking about before cell phones. We're talking about before computers. It was, there was nothing going on. So you had all that much more time to be with your kids. But for us, it was, we wanted to be their kids' friends. We didn't want to be their parents. We wanted to be their friends. Your kids have plenty of friends. They don't need you to be their friends. They need you to be their parent. I say, I wish it was mandatory for parents to go to a parent support group before their kid graduates high school, because I think it's so necessary. But we would have civil liberties back on our tail if we tried to do that. So what we do is hopefully we get things like this. We're on a great radio station, KHTS, and able to hopefully get some parents who listen to this and realize that they may be having a problem with their kid, and there is help out there.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice to be able to have people get engaged in some sort of a support group before they're in crisis. Because I know that you and I both, by the time they walk in our doors, that's like the end of the world at that point. They're already in the middle of a crisis, and we spent a lot of time at the beginning just kind of unraveling that, and let's get them back to basis. And I don't know what age that happens, but I know when we're younger, when our kids are younger, we are involved in everything they do. They come home with homework. We help them do that. We're talking to the teachers. We're going to their sporting events. We're doing all of that stuff. And at some age, and I don't know where that is, 9 years old, 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old, where we feel like they're independent enough to be able to give us maybe, I get a break from my kids or something, and we get less involved in their life right at a crucial time when I think they need us the most.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would say that probably, well, recently, because we lowered the age to 12, as far on our youth group used to be 13, and we lowered it to 12, we're starting to see a lot of parents who are coming to us from middle school where there's drug problems going on in their school. And it's frightening to see these 12-year-olds, the little kids that look like they're, they're like babies to me, because we used to deal with older kids. And yet they're so smart and they're so clever and they know what's going on, and they're even gang related in some cases.
At 12.
Yeah. So it's just very sad, and it angers me, which I try not to do, try not to get angry, but I do when I go to a meeting one night and on a Tuesday night and there's no orientation. And I'm thinking, I'm in a school with 3,200 students, so that's at least 6,000 parents, and not a one of them is coming to because they don't have a problem. What is the denial? What are they afraid of? Why aren't they coming? I can understand if we charge them and maybe they couldn't afford it, but we're free. We even do a communication workshop to teach them how to communicate, too. We do that once a year. So, there's so many good positives about it. We do a lot of family things. We have a Dodger night. We have picnics. We do all kinds of things with the families because we believe the families need to get back together again and start separating them and get them back in together.
Yeah, it's been, it's like by the time families come to us, the only time they spend together is when there's a problem and they get in the same room screaming at each other, or they've been called to the school or whatever's going on. And one of the best things that we can teach our families is to spend fun time together again. To go to those picnics and to go to those Dodger games and to do those things again.
And I won't say that because I love you is the panacea. It's not like this is it and you're going to go there and you're going to get better. Right. But I will say that we offer a service that is not just 2.5 hours. We have hot numbers. I forgot that they can call all the time. We also have special meetings at my home if it's just not working, and it just be with the parents and the parent leader, the youth leader, and me, and we go over the stuff at home. So it's like a special evening of working on things to kind of unite them and get them back together on the right page again. We're not a marriage counseling. We get a lot of parents that need it. We'll refer them to it, but we find that a lot of parents are much happier when they start working together on because no matter how much they dislike each other, they both have the same child, and they need to be working on that child, not on theirs. We some go to marriage counseling, but you can stay here too because we're going to help you get back into control.
Yeah, and I know that's one of the most difficult things for some parents to do when they're trying to co-parent in a divorce situation or whatever's going on, and they come into our rooms and we tell them, like, you guys are going to have to get on the same page here. Some of them it's very difficult to do. Right. But you know as well as I do that that's one of the most beneficial things for their kids that they can do is set your personal problems outside of the door that you have between each other and get together so that you're a united front with your kid.
The philosophy of because I love you that we certainly try to get across to the parents is that in raising kids today, pain is inevitable. However, the suffering is optional. Right. And most parents will come to us because they're suffering. And we have to get them back to that point where they realize that that's an option, not a choice. It's a choice, but not necessarily the way it has to be. So we start giving them some new things. The first thing I tell a parent in orientation, besides that you're guilty, I also say what doesn't mean what you've been doing is wrong, because I got to ease the pain that I just told them they were guilty. I said doesn't mean what you've been doing is wrong. It just means it's not working. So that's insanity. Why would you want to keep repeating it and getting the same results? We're going to find something else. We're going to change it. The change is what's going to make the changes in the situation. You have to change.
Well, and I love the idea. I mean, just making a commitment to, here's one of the things that I give to families, not just to the parents, but to families, is that one of the biggest tools that you guys can have is making a commitment to spend some time together. And just the fact that a parent and their teen is coming to Billy on a regular basis, and anything else that comes up is not going to be as important as this. If somebody wants to do something on a Tuesday, I'm sorry, I already have a previous commitment, and you make a commitment to each other to come to Billy on a regular basis or something like it, and you're making a big statement to each other.
Absolutely.
I love you as much or more than anything else that's coming up in my life.
And it's funny because the kids on my block that were kids at the time that my kids were kids, the teenagers, I bump into them every so often, and they always say to me, Mr. Poncher, I wish my parents were more like you, more involved in your lives. We got into a lot of trouble. One was in prison. One was a gang member, got into trouble like that. And they said, you know what, you held on to your reins, and even though Leslie was gone, when she came back, she learned lots of lessons by you not running after her and pleading with her and bringing her back home, because that wasn't going to work, not while she was with this guy. So I had to wait until she left him. By the way, all that's in a book called it's called Daddy, I'm Pregnant, and it's available on the Billy website at billy.org. It's a good book because especially for a single parent. And especially for a single father, because when you're raising kids, and especially if you have a daughter who really needed a mother, and I had to play both roles, and but it was worth it because I've got 2 incredible kids now and 5 incredible grandchildren.
Yeah. Well, and I love call it whatever you want, divine intervention, God stepping in, whatever you want to call it. But there's a little bit of, so you're at the moment of you're suffering so bad that you have pills sitting in front of you ready to, I can't take it anymore, and your friend intervenes in your life. And at that moment, if anybody would have asked you, do you know what you'll be doing in 20 years, right? You're like, you can't even envision that I'm going to make it through this day.
Yeah, I didn't think there was anything to help me. I mean, my friends were there for me, but they didn't know how to guide me, where where to refer me. But Tough Love was the first thing that was a stepping stone. Yeah, and we're kind of an offshoot from Tough Love.
And then on top of that, so you start getting the help you need and create this wonderful organization. And a couple of months into it, after you've had the name and you're working towards nonprofit status, somebody starts calling it Billy, and you're like,
I know.
Wait a minute, that's the guy whose name we're never going to say, right? And then more. When did you write the book? How many
wrote
years
the
later?
book. Actually, the therapist that I went to when it first started said to me, computers were just coming into the picture, and she said to me, do a journal. Write every day a letter to Leslie, because she was out and you didn't know where she is. Write a letter to her. And so it was back in '86 is when I started writing it. I think I finally published it in 1980, a little late in '87, I think.
Okay.
So for a whole year, I was writing all this journal and of what had been going on prior and all the way up to that point. So it's a good book, if I have to say so myself. I've written 3 books. I've written 3 books, but that to me is the best.
That's the one.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah.
And it really is a testimony to not only the personal work that you've done, but the organization itself. Is that you guys are sitting in this car on the way to your wife's funeral, and the most devastating words you can hear on top of all that other stuff going on is your daughter turns to you and says, Daddy, I'm pregnant, right? And a couple of years later, the title of the book is Daddy, I'm Pregnant, right? It's like, that's a long ways to come in a year.
Yeah.
That's a long ways for you personally to come in a year, and then to be able to pass on, I think, hope more than anything else.
Yeah, when parents, I get calls every day from all over the world. saying, well, there's no group in my area. What do I do? So we create, yeah, well, we've asked them to start it up. But you know what? They're calling me in dire need to get some help, not to give some help.
Yeah,
so you got to get them involved in a group first. So then we put on our website a Dear Dentist, which is like a Dear Abby. I mean, they write me with their problems, and I help them in any way that I can. I will find out what's going on in their town. If there's no group, what's the closest thing? If it's a mental health, to get them some information where to go. And I've opened up communication with hundreds of parents over the years, hundreds.
Well, and I think it's important what you just said is, even if there's not something specifically for their issue in their town, you'll find the resources that are closest to them. And I think it's important for parents or anybody really to understand is maybe it's not exactly the fit for you, but step into something.
Right.
Because sitting at home trying to do it by yourself.
One of the biggest referrals that we give out on the website, because like I said, most of the problems that people write to us about are drug related. Right. And we say, look, there's no Billy in your area, but there is an Al-Anon in your area. Go over to Al-Anon. It's a great program. It's not Billy. It's not the same as Billy, but it's some place where you can be with other parents to find out you're not alone, and that it's not just your fault that this is going on. It's the fault of society. You need to learn what you have to do in society to make things better. So I get them to go to Al-Anon. If they don't have that, then I'll get them into mental health. Like NAMI is all over, and I'll get them into
National
a mental
Alliance
health
for Mental Illness is NAMI.
Right.
Yeah, and no matter what you're recovering from, whether you're the parent who's in recovery to try to change your behaviors, or you're the person who's directly has the issues trying to recover, in my opinion, one of the most powerful tools that I ran into, and I'm sure that you ran into, was being able to find a place where it felt safe, where I could breathe, where I felt safe enough where I could go, like, here's my truth, and I don't feel judged, and I don't feel like anybody's going to get on me and tell me what to do or how to do it or anything like that. Just listen, right?
That was the main difference between what I found and what I started with Because I Love You. Because Tough Love, which I loved the premise, I just didn't like the direction that it would go. And Tough Love would say, do this, do this, do this.
Right.
Not every parent was ready to do this, and I didn't see people coming back. They would go to orientation, they didn't show up the following week.
It's too much.
Yeah. We are what I call, Billy, a compassionate alternative to Tough Love. We deal with parents at their level. I'll have a parent coming in that's ready to post rules, and another parent having the same exact problem, and maybe she's ready to post rules the next night. The other parent may take 6 months before she's able to put the rules up. We're going to work with them. No matter whatever level they're at, we're going to work with them, but we're going to try them to get them to, maybe they have to get to a tough love philosophy, but not at the beginning. They're not ready for that, and it's too soon to start doing that. We don't throw kids out. The difference between throwing kids out and our philosophy is they're choosing not to live with us. They're deciding that they don't want to live under our rules, and so I guess we have to find another place for them to live, because we're responsible with them till they're 18.
Right, and that's part of the work that we do with any families, right? Is putting it back in the kids' responsibility. Is, if you choose to do this, here's what the price you're going to pay for that,
Absolutely.
and it takes words like, like, we're not kicking them out, and we're not even necessarily giving them consequences. We're giving them a choice.
Right.
We're giving them a choice. And that can be empowering for a teenager as well.
Absolutely.
To be able to go, oh, wait a minute, I'm choosing to do this, right?
Well, that's what I threw at my son.
Yeah.
I mean, he quit school at 16. Because he was failing his classes, and he just couldn't handle it. And I was going to more teacher conference calls than I was going to breakfast every morning, and so I gave him three options. I said, "Here's your three choices. Number one, you go back to school. You must get a diploma. I don't care if you just get passing grades. Just go back and stay in school until you graduate." He said, "What's choice two?" I said, "Quit school." He says, "I'll take that." I said, "Wait a minute. If you quit school, you have to work 40 hours a week and pay me rent." He says, "I'm not paying rent in my house." I said, "No, you're paying rent in my house." Right. So you have to make that decision. He says, "Well, what's the third choice?" I said, "Go into the garage. There's a black suitcase in there. Take it into your room, pack whatever you need, and get out of here."
Right.
I said, "Because you're choosing not to live with me." He said, "Well, I'll go to work." Yeah. Now he's 52 years old. He's older than me, and he has a great job, beautiful home, 2 incredible children, 2 grandchildren, and you know what? He's never gotten his GED. So, you know what? I learned at a very early age in Billy that my hopes and dreams for my children are not their hopes
May
and
not
dreams.
be theirs. Yeah.
So my hopes and dreams changed to two things. I want you to be healthy and I want you to be happy. Yeah. And if you're healthy and you're digging ditches and that's okay with you, or you're flipping hamburgers at the McDonald's and you're okay with that, I'm fine with that. Right. You know, it's not what I would like to see you do, but it's what you want us to do. You know.
Well, there's a lot of hope and a lot of help and happiness for our kids and the kids, that you guys get to work with. We could go on and on forever. We're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we're going to have to wrap this thing up. This is the Way Out Recovery Hour. We'll be right back.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
Men, are you feeling tired, stressed, or just don't have the energy you used to? Did you know this could be related to decreased testosterone levels? Luckily, there's a safe, effective solution. Weeder Prime helps support healthy testosterone levels with clinically tested key ingredients. Just 2 capsules of Weeder Prime each day can help change your mood, energy, focus, body fat, and lean muscle. Feel the way you felt 10, 20, even 30 years ago. Rediscover your Prime with Weeder Prime. To find a retailer near you, visit WeederPrime.com. That's WEIDER Prime.com.
Do you like to rock across Africa?
Then the wait is over.
Africa Rocks! Africa's Greatest Hits is now available at the San Diego Zoo! And who could forget 99 red baboons?
Or the African crested porcupine smash hit, I Got Quills to Pay the Bills! Hey, don't get too close!
And the hits keep on coming!
Africa Rocks has all your favorites from 6 different African habitats.
Hungry like a leopard!
Ibex is back!
Harder, better, Fossa stronger!
And a new track from Kendrick Lamar!
Now, Larry.
Yes, Chuck?
A collection of this magnitude, I'd fly to Africa!
Well, don't pack your bags, friend. Africa Rocks is only available right here at the San Diego Zoo.
Wow, that really does rock.
No, it Africa Rocks.
Welcome to Africa Rocks. Experience 6 different African habitats, including our first ever aquatic enclosure with African penguins. Only at the San Diego Zoo.
Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Now FM, 98.1 FM, and AM 1220. Your hometown station.
We fought so hard, now we gotta get back what we lost.
Welcome back to the Way Out Recovery Hour. I'm Bob Sharits, and I'm in studio today with Dennis Poncher, founder of Because I Love You. Because I Love You is a nonprofit parent and teen support program in the San Fernando Valley and elsewhere, but they meet at Birmingham Charter High School in the library every Tuesday from 7 to 9:30. Anybody can show up at 7 o'clock. And their phone number is 818-884-8242. You can also check out their website at becauseIloveyou.org. And if you are just joining us, you can go to Because I Love You Facebook page and pick up the video. You can go to the KHTS Facebook page and pick up the video, or you can go to the Way Out Recovery SCV Facebook page and pick up the video. I would encourage you to do that. We've heard some great tools, wonderful stories of recovery, and Dennis's personal wonderful story of recovery. It's glad to hear that both your kids, grandkids, and now great grandkids are doing well. And, we have a couple of minutes left, Dennis, and, teens have a lot of issues and parents have a lot of issues, and they come to you with a multitude of stuff going on. What is something that you would give to a parent? What do you say?
We talked a lot about the issues, and there's one issue that we didn't mention, and I do want to mention it because I think it's very important. A parent will come to us, and he or she will say, "Well, I'm not having the problems with my youth. I'm not having drug problems, or I'm not having this problem. I'm not having that problem." We give them a form to fill out, and they can't find anything on the form that's problems. And I said, "You know what? You're the parent I want to see more than anybody because I want to catch it before it happens."
Right.
There's nothing wrong with learning some preventive medicine, and that's what we need to push the parents when they say, "Well, I don't need to go there. I'm not having a problem." No, not yet. But how about why should you wait until it happens? Why not learn everything ahead of time and prevent it from happening? So that even though we deal with a lot of problems with kids from as young as 2 and as old as 60, you still need to get involved. It's really important.
Well, it's funny because we, as parents, you sort of hear, there's no handbook on parenting, or gosh, I wish I had the handbook. And what you have is a handbook.
Yeah, we have one. It's called the program book. It's available online. It's so inexpensive, and I want to tell you, I call it a parent's Bible. I mean, you will refer to it constantly, so you can order that online on our website.
Okay, great. And what do preventative measures look like for parents? If I come in and I go, "Look, I've watched all your stuff and my kids are doing okay, but I don't want it to happen," what are some tips you can give me to keep it from happening?
I think probably one of the most important things that we get parents to do is to create rules to post them in the house.
Okay.
And that way it keeps the structure going. It also stops the child from saying, "Oh, you didn't say that," or "I didn't know you meant that." It's right in front of them in black and white. We have them sign the rules so that they agree to what the rules are. And then the parents have to start creating, and we help them with it, consequences if the child breaks any of those rules.
Well, and creating those rules, it sounds to me like the parents have to commit to some accountability themselves.
Absolutely.
Because so many kids that I work with say, 1 week my mom says this is okay, and the next week it's not, and sometimes it's 11 o'clock, and sometimes it's 9 o'clock, and my God, I wish we had something posted.
Get it
right?
in black and white, and it's important. It's really important.
Dennis, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Is there anything that you want to put out there before we get off?
Just want to alert the parents, if you're not in any crisis or you don't have any kids that you think that it's necessary for you to attend the group, maybe you know somebody who does. I mean, everybody knows somebody in their family or friends that has a problem that could use Because I Love You. Do them a favor. You could be saving a life, and refer them to the groups.
So again, the group meets at Birmingham Charter High School in Van Nuys every Tuesday, 7 to 9:30. Anyone is welcome to show up. The phone number is 818-884-8244. 8242, excuse me, and they have a website, becauseIloveyou.org. You can always call us at the Way Out Recovery SCV at 661-296-4444, and we will give you that information as well. Dennis, again, thank you very much for coming on the show today. It's been a real pleasure.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for having me.
This is the Way Out Recovery Hour. I'm Bob Sharits, and we'll see y'all later.